The sun was just beginning to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in warm hues of orange, lavender, and soft pink. The world outside Emma Carter's window had slowed down. Her cozy little home, nestled in a quiet corner of Vermont, seemed to exhale gently as the day neared its end. Inside, the scent of chamomile tea mingled with hints of lavender oil diffusing from a small ceramic pot on the kitchen counter. Emma moved slowly, intentionally, her bare feet brushing the cool wooden floor as she made her way to the back porch with a worn novel in one hand and her favorite mug in the other. It had been a long day. Not particularly hard, just long in the way that everyday life sometimes is. The kids had been picked up from school, dinner had been cooked, dishes cleaned, laundry folded. Emails were answered, errands run, groceries put away. Nothing dramatic had happened, and yet the weight of all the small things pressed down, calling for a pause, for stillness, for the quiet space between doing and being. Emma sat in the old rocking chair that had belonged to her grandmother. The creak of its wooden joints felt like a lullaby, as familiar and comforting as the hum of crickets in the distance. Her dog, Oliver, a sleepy golden retriever, padded out onto the porch and settled by her feet with a gentle sigh. She opened her book but didn't read. Instead, she stared out across the field behind her house, where wildflowers swayed in the summer breeze. Fireflies had just begun their evening dance, their tiny lights blinking in and out like shy stars come down to visit. Inside, her husband Luke was finishing up a few things in the garage. He had a habit of tinkering with things at the end of the day, finding peace in the rhythm of fixing an old bicycle or organizing his tools. It was his way of winding down, just like Emma's quiet evenings with a book and tea. Their children, Molly and Ben, had already brushed their teeth and were tucked into bed upstairs. The sound of them giggling had faded into the softness of sleep not long ago, replaced now by the distant hoot of an owl and the occasional croak of frogs near the creek. Emma finally set the book down in her lap. She didn't want to think about work emails or tomorrow's appointments. She just wanted to be here, in this moment, at peace with the simplicity of the night. She listened to the breeze rustle the trees and let her shoulders relax, letting go of whatever she didn't need to carry. Luke came up the steps quietly and took the seat beside her, wiping his hands on a rag and smiling in the soft glow of the porch light. "Kids asleep?" he asked. "Out like little lights," she said.
Good.
They were running around all day. They needed to. It's summer. He chuckled and leaned back, his eyes scanning the same field she'd been watching. They sat there in silence for a while, the kind of silence that doesn't need to be filled. Just being together was enough. Emma leaned her head against Luke's shoulder, and he reached over, placing his hand gently over hers. This was their sanctuary, this quiet hour after the day had done its work and asked nothing more of them. In the back of her mind, Emma thought about how hard it used to be for her to let go of the day. She used to stay up too late, scrolling through her phone or making mental lists of all the things she hadn't accomplished. But something had shifted over the years, maybe after becoming a mother, maybe just from getting older. She realized how precious these quiet evenings were, how much life existed in the little pauses that so often go unnoticed. She'd learned to slow down, to let herself enjoy the way the breeze cooled her skin or how the stars appeared one by one, not all at once but in a slow, deliberate unveiling. And she'd come to appreciate the stillness between heartbeats, the calm that could be found not by chasing after peace, but by letting it come to you when you're ready. The porch light flickered once, and then glowed steady. Luke gave her hand a gentle squeeze, and she smiled without speaking. No grand event had marked the end of this day, and that was okay. Some days didn't need a climax. Some days just needed to end quietly, like the soft landing of a feather on a pillow. As the night deepened and the world grew darker, the couple rose slowly and made their way back inside, moving through the house like they were wrapped in warmth. Emma paused in the kitchen to rinse her mug, the clink of ceramic a final note in the symphony of the day. Upstairs, she peeked in on Molly and Ben. Molly was hugging her stuffed bunny, her cheeks flushed with sleep, while Ben snored lightly, his face buried in his pillow. She pulled the blanket up over their shoulders and whispered a good night that only the moon could hear. Downstairs, Luke had already turned off the lights and opened the bedroom window to let the night air drift in. Emma changed into her soft cotton pajamas and slid under the cool sheets beside him. There was something sacred about this part of the night, when the world quieted down enough to hear your own thoughts and let them go without resistance. They said good night in a whisper, kissed softly, and lay there, side by side, while the ceiling fan hummed above them. Emma listened to Luke's breathing even out as he drifted off to sleep. She stared at the ceiling for a little while, not because she was worried or anxious, just because it felt good to exist in that moment, to remember that life was allowed to be gentle. As she finally closed her eyes, the last thing she heard was the sound of the wind in the trees, a lullaby for grown-ups who'd made it through another day. And in that stillness, there was comfort. There was healing. There was calm.